Alright, so I got this message from, it's a really good message. I'm going to read the entire message, and then I'm going to respond back. The title of the message is, I'm a former accomplished MMA fighter, and I totally agree with you on the things you say about MMA. So I'm going to read the whole message, and I'm going to respond back about it. It says, the reason why MMA fighters can't accept the truth is because a lot of MMA fighters get into MMA because of lack of self-esteem. So if you poke at them with the truth, they're going to fight for MMA to the death because that's all they got in life. Next paragraph. The truth is, I've been in MMA and experienced it, so I know there's a lot of douchebags in the sport and they have little to no skills. I know this because whether people admit it or not, of course not because of ego and politics, I've beaten UFC fighters in the gym daily with tap-outs and strikes as a new amateur. But the thing is, the general public has no idea what's swept under the rug by politics. These guys are supposed to be the best. So it's not about who's the best, it's about who they know as far as connections. In any case, I got out of MMA because of the lack of money and also the unnecessary violence. I came to realize that it's not anything to do with skill, it has everything to do with who is the most fastest and strongest, which is basically a tough man contest. Of course they won't admit it, but I know that's what it is. I think the Diaz brothers think the same things are on the way out too. These higher ranked organizations pay people and journalists to fry anyone that comes against the UFC, and has people write good reviews for them too. All I know is I'm someone that is dangerous as far as MMA goes in my town, but I view MMA the same way you do. The only thing is I didn't want to come out with it because of the backlash I would have to deal with, but it's good that you did. Even though many might disagree, I'm sure many more agree. It's just too bad that the many that disagree are the ones lurking on the internet threatening people. Keep spreading the message. Eventually, whether people like it or not, it's going to start to stick in their head, and it gives me motivation to speak out too. So that's his message, and I'm very thankful that he wrote me. And you know, he's just basically somebody who's speaking out, and I don't want to use his name because I don't want to put him out there like that, but it's just, you know, I want to share his message and let people know that, you know, that this is the reality of what's going on. And I know that these people are not super talented. I know for a fact, just from watching the few things that I've watched, and also like my training involved, I've been training most of my life. I know what's good technique, what's not good technique, and what's a real martial artist and who's not. You know, it's like, you know, when you study for something for so long, you know. You know, and another thing is, from personal experience, you know, I went to Purdue University. I went there for 4 years. During those 4 years, John Fitch, who used to be a UFC fighter, he was considered supposedly one of the best. John Fitch was in Purdue when I was in Purdue. He was a Purdue wrestler. And he joined my martial arts club for a short while. We trained a little bit, and he had no stand-up fighting experience at all. All he knew was wrestling. So he was trying to learn some stand-up fighting from us, and he was not getting it. He was very uncoordinated. He wasn't good at the stand-up at all. He had a lot to learn. Alright, so you know, we trained a little bit, and I went to a few of his wrestling matches, and the wrestling matches that I did go to, he lost them. He was a good wrestler, but he wasn't the best. He wasn't the best on his team. He certainly wasn't the best in the NCAA, or like he certainly was not the best in the college. He wasn't the best even in his own team in wrestling, and that's what that's supposed to be his bread and butter. And when it came to stand-up fighting, he had no clue what to do. He didn't have any stand-up fighting skills. So then years passed by, and then now I hear this guy is supposed to be considered one of the best. You know, like, you know, barely losing any matches. And, you know, I saw an action figurine with him in the store. I mean, this was not even like 10 years later. You know, 10 years of training it doesn't make you an expert. You still need to train over 20, 30 years, and his technique is still not there. But he's supposed to be considered one of the best. It's just, I know for a fact that these people in the UFC, in this cage fighting, they're not the best of the best. They clearly are not. Just from my personal experience with that and just seeing what they do, you know they're not the best. I mean, you look at people in basketball. If you got somebody who's an expert and he's in a free throw line, he might be hitting 99% of his free throws. He shoots 1,000 free throws, he hits 999 of them. That's an expert. An expert is not somebody, you know, who shoots 1,000 free throws and he hits like half of them, only 500. You know, so basically, these people that keep like getting hit all the time and they don't even know proper technique and they're not even skillful in what they do. An expert is somebody like Mayweather who has lost 0 fights. You know, an expert is somebody who is close to perfection. When somebody is close to perfection, he barely gets hit. You know, and these people are not experts. They're just a bunch of people that just want to be violent. You know, and this person, what he's saying, I see that that's what's going on. It's about who you know. It's the same thing that's going on with the Hollywood. It's not about who's the most talented. It's about who do you know? Which directors do you know? Who do you know in the Hollywood that could get you into that crowd? You know, to get you through those gates. You know, that's how it is with the UFC too. If you're friends with Dana White, hey, you know, you're going to be one of the top fighters in there because you're friends with them. Not because you're a good fighter, but because you're friends with them. They even let go of John Fitch. They even fired John Fitch because they're saying that his fights are not entertaining enough. Because what he does, he just tackles them and then basically waits for them to waste all their energy and then he just makes them tap out. That's pretty much, that's his strategy. Just tackle them, lay on top of them until they lose all their energy and then they tap out and then he wins. And these fights were not entertaining enough, so they fired him. So it's about who you know. You know, and this person, he's telling the truth. You know, making a bunch of you know, all these UFC fighters, he's making a bunch of them tap out. And then, you know, they hide that information from the public because it's not even about who is the best. It's about who do you know. You know, just like right now, you might be a really good fighter, but it doesn't mean that you're going to automatically be eligible to participate in the UFC. You got to go through certain channels. You know, kiss a little butt here and there, do all this stuff, and then, you know, if they don't like you, they're just not going to promote you. That's just how it is. You know, and that's even how jobs are. That's how this world operates. Not just the entertainment business, but just businesses in general, corporations. It's about who do you know within that corporation so that they can get you that interview that you need. You know, so this person is basically coming from the inside, telling it like it is. And I already know this stuff that's going on. You know, it's just, I know the politics involved with this. You know, and the fixed fights and all that, I mean, that's all the reality. But people, you know, they don't want to listen. They're just deaf ears. You know, this is what they think it is. They think that these are like the top athletes of the world. It's not. You know what I mean? It's not a real sport. It's just a bunch of violent people. That's all it is. You know what I mean? When you got people that are, you know, in the NBA and the NFL and like people that are like in real sports, and you see them demonstrating their talent and skill at such a high level, you see it right before your eyes. You know that those are people that have reached a really high level of what they do. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, right? People like that, Tiger Woods. I mean, you could clearly see, you know, what makes a good golfer. Well, a normal person takes them like 50 strokes to hit the ball into the hole. Tiger Woods could do it in 8 strokes. That's an expert. What makes an expert in the game of pool? You know, somebody that never misses. He shoots every single shot is always in the pocket. That makes an expert. What makes an expert bowler? Strikes all the time, never misses. So to make an expert martial artist, an expert fighter that can fight, he should basically never get hit. You know, he should basically be like never punched, never taken to the ground, never kicked. I mean, he's just always the one in control of the entire fight the entire time and just owns the person that he's fighting against. But these people are not experts. They're claiming that GSP is one of the best. But then the last fight that he was in, his whole face looked like a whole marshmallow, bloody marshmallow, because he got hit so many times. That's not an expert. They're claiming that Anderson Silva is an expert, one of their best. He just got his leg broken from making an amateur mistake. You know, I mean, these people are not really talented. These people, the wrestlers that enter in there, they're not even the best college wrestlers in the world. You have them, you have them compete with the college wrestlers. They're not even the top college wrestlers. They can't even make it to the Olympics in what they are good at. This is their bread and butter. That's what they spend like half their life trying to perfect. And they're not even the best in college. They can't even make it to the Olympics. But then they go to the UFC and all of a sudden they're considered the best in the world. That is not how it works. You understand? So it's like you got a bunch of untalented wrestlers in there, a bunch of untalented boxers in there that when they go into the real boxing, they can't even be one of the best. They can't beat the Mayweather. They can't beat the Pacquiao. They can't beat the top people in the boxing. So then they go in the UFC, and then because they can't handle the real deal, you know, of what they wish to spend most of their times developing. UFC is just a bunch of like rejects from all these different sports, as far as football is concerned, as far as WWF is concerned, as far as boxing is concerned, as far as kickboxing is concerned, as far as, you know, wrestling. They're just clumping up a bunch of rejects from all these other sports and then making them fight and kill each other. None of it is actual talent and skill. It's just a bunch of violent people. It's just like having, you know, one football team against another football team, and then just having take off their helmets, take off their gear, and just go brawl at each other. That's pretty much what's going on with this whole UFC and cage fighting. You know, and as this person stated, it's not even about who's the best. You know, it's just about who's the fastest and strongest. It's basically just a tough man contest. You know, so I'm glad that this person stepped out and said something, and you know, I hope that more and more people like open their eyes and see that what's going on. I mean, like I said, I keep saying it, you know, I'd rather promote people to just get into boxing. If you really want to get good at something and you like being a fighter, just get into the boxing, or just do the wrestling. You know, do the high school wrestling, the college wrestling, try to make it to the Olympics. I would much rather promote wrestling, boxing, and football than this whole cage fighting stuff. It's just absolutely retarded. You know, the cage fighting stuff is a detriment to society. It's a detriment to the martial arts. It's destroying the reputation of the real martial arts. You know, if people want to do taekwondo and get into the taekwondo point sparring tournaments, okay, go ahead and do that. They want to do the karate point sparring, go ahead and do that. You know, these are more regulated. It's more controlled. You know, you get a hit, okay, reset. Get another hit, reset. Get a hit, reset. They even got taekwondo in the Olympics. They even got judo in the Olympics. They got boxing in the Olympics. They got taekwondo in the Olympics. They got judo in the Olympics. They got fencing in the Olympics. I'd rather promote people to study real sports if they're so into the sports. And if you're really into the martial arts, then study the real martial arts, not this garbage out there that's just clumping a bunch of people together and having them destroy each other and kill each other. You know, so, I mean, that's all I gotta say about that. I'm thankful that this person emailed this to me. If he's watching this video, thank you for taking the time to write all this and sharing your thoughts. And I hope that this video message reaches out to more people to get them to kind of learn from your experiences.